What's one of the most controversial weapons in video gaming history? And no, I'm not talking about that shotgun that flings shurikens that are on fire. No, I'm talking about the good old-fashioned Gunblade. Probably one of the stupidest things I have ever seen, but when you're 9 years old, it's one of the best things ever. Yeah, a lot of people happen to like the Gunblade. And, well, the original, which was, I believe, Squall's, was not exactly the coolest thing. It was just a huge sword on the end of a revolver, and then there was his enemy, antagonist, Cypher, however you say it. He had what was literally like a Makarov with a sword on it, which was infinitely worse. And then fast forward to 2007, I believe, 2008 maybe, when Final Fantasy 13 came out. Maybe it was 2009. It can't be that long ago. Final Fantasy 13 brought us Lightning and her Blaze Fire Saber, which was a much better Gunblade. In fact, an infinitely better Gunblade. And that is the kind of project that I have put in front of you today. It is literally a Nerf Gunblade. I know I'm not the only one to have ever done this, but from what I've seen so far, I think this is one of the better ones. For instance, and this is kind of hard to show on camera, but it will latch up. It will latch up. It's kind of hard to do without flicking it. No problem. You can punch, stab people, and hit people with a sword, and then you can just press the button right there to break it, and it will fly down. And in a perfect world, I will have a magnet right here, and that is something that's going to happen. And you can still shoot people with it. Now, originally, this is a shotgun called the Airzone Vigilante. And it was, well, obviously there's a barrel right there, and there was another barrel underneath of it. And it had a pump-action grip that you would pump right here, which would engage this mechanism, which would pull the plunger tube back, or the plunger back, and then you pull the trigger and let it go. Well, that obviously wasn't going to work for the purpose of a Gunblade. So, what I have done is I have turned it into a bolt action. So, you pull that bolt back, and unless you have a dart in the barrel, it's not going to do too much, but you can kind of see right there, it sounds pretty evil, and it's not. It's pretty tame, but it works. Let's break it open right there. Give a quick shot demonstration. The barrel fit is extremely tight, and I have no brass in there. I'm actually thinking about putting more brass in it, but it is extremely tight, which is pretty crazy and probably where it gets most of its power from. But let's kind of put that up right there, and it shoots reasonably hard. It's not great, but it shoots reasonably hard. Hard enough to make it useful. It's a useful shot. And if you really wanted to, put another one in there. And, ooh, wow, that did not go in. Let's try that again. It seems like there's something stuck in there almost. I know there isn't, but it's that tight of a fit. Let's do that. And if you really wanted to, you can fire it with the barrel up. So it works both ways, and as long as the dart is all the way in there, it's not going to fall out, and the barrel will clear it. Absolutely no issue whatsoever. So it works as a gun, and of course, it's got this honking great blade on the end of it. And what I did to get that was I cut the guard off, I cut the handle down, I stuffed it in there, and basically it's held in by friction, but there's glue and whatnot holding that on there as well, so it's not going anywhere. In fact, I would guarantee you this would break before the actual blade did. But not very hard. I did trim off some of the blade as well, so you can kind of see how it fits right there. And again, as a kind of saber, what was it called in Dead Rising 3? The shot saber? Something like that. Same kind of idea here. We've got a sword on the end of a blaster. It's a single shot blaster. It's a little bit better than a jolt, which is not bad. That's serviceable. And I can hit people with it. So, and, well, I guess the best thing would be is the fact that you can effortlessly switch in between both of them. And it's kind of hard to get that on camera, obviously, because it's massively huge. In fact, I have no idea how I'm going to generate the thumbnail for this. But hey, it works good. It effortlessly lets me switch between both kind of things. So if I want to shoot someone, here I go, bam. And then if I want to stab somebody or slash at somebody, and again, I'm talking about with a foam weapon, bam, goes on right there. I've also done some reinforcements. For example, the fact that the original clasp mechanism here broke. So what I had to do, and you can kind of see it right here, is there is a whole screw running through here. It is kind of drilled into the plastic, and it's also held in with some hot glue. And then I have kind of machined it down with some files and some finishing sanding sticks, and have made a new kind of clasp because the original one broke. As for the kind of ejection mechanism here, well, there is a binder clip underneath here that is hot glued in place, and that will give you way more tension to hold that closed, and it's gonna need it. Other than that, the only other thing I had to do was I had to completely gut the kind of circle thing that switches between the barrels, filled up one of the barrels completely because we want to have as much power as we can, and we're only going to be using one barrel anyway because there's a sword there. And that's pretty much it. It's kind of, well, besides this whole drilling a screw in here and making a bolt action, it's not going to make any sense if I show you underneath all this, and I don't really want to take it apart right now because I kind of want to play with it. But that's all I really did, and I did this completely blind, so there should be a way for you to do it completely blind, and it's honestly not that difficult whatsoever. This is a project that has taken me over 2 years to complete, so I do hope it's something that you kind of enjoyed. I did do some reinforcing right here. I put in some epoxy putty, which helps the blade move significantly less, which, as long as I'm not hitting the flat of the blade, I should be fine. It's not going to break from any kind of contact like that, but sideways, yeah, it could definitely break. If it does break, well, all I had to do is run a new screw through there, probably use some aluminum, I don't know, I wanted to keep it kind of metal free so it's as safe as possible, but it wouldn't be hard to kind of machine an even better one. But for what I set out doing 2 years ago when I saw this thing in Toys R Us, well, I believe I have finished that goal. And I hope the fans of you out there that like the Gunblade, you Gunblade fanatics, well, I know there's a couple of you out there, and I hope you enjoyed this video, because this is one of the coolest things I've ever got to make, and it's perfectly serviceable for a Nerf war. One more time, just for good measure. I need to work on something about that loading, but we are going to flick it down, we're going to prime it, and we are going to fire it. And it works great. So, I hope you enjoyed this one. And for those of you who don't like the Gunblade, well, too bad. You have horrible taste. Have a good one. Pardon the shaky cam cut, but I just kind of wanted to go over it one time here. And then again with the blade fully locked in. Very nice.